welcome back to Square Roundtable Podcast. I'm your host, Dmitri, and this is my co-host.
What's up, I'm Marcus?
The lag's back. It's all right. We here.
Man, we hear what's going on, freaks and geeks out there.
What's going on? Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're liking our content. Help us get to our goal of 1,000 subs and get to our next goal. But we're halfway there. So thank you for everybody who showed up and liked the videos, commented, shared, hit us up on Instagram and stuff like that. And have really been vocal. We appreciate you guys. So keep that up. It helps out. It lets us know that content's you're rocking with the content, and we appreciate that. But this podcast might ruffle some feathers. Be warned. You've been warned. But the topic of today is this: with everything going on in the media and everybody talking about everything being woke, we decided, hey, let's take a crack at this topic. Let's see if everything is now woke or has it always been woke. That's the interlude of this podcast. And Marcus, how you feel about all this woke media? And I'm using air quotes for people who can't see us. I'm
Yeah.
using the air quotes. How do you feel
Well,
about woke?
woke, just the word itself is so crazy how it's been turned into this term that describes being aware of racism and sexism, and now it's a whole thing with the left wing trying to push their
Mm-hmm.
agenda and all this, and then it's bled into media, and it's really a term that was used since the 30s for being aware of social and political issues affecting African Americans.
Yep.
I think you sent me the video one time with Dr. Maya Angelou talking about woke and what it is and how people are afraid to be pried loose of their ignorance. And that's a big thing of a contributor to. So nowadays it's like we get if we get a it's because it's funny in a way because it's like it's it didn't like bled over to animation, and it's if we get an animated show and let's just say it's 20 characters and half, so what's half, 10 of them black, Asian, Afro Latino, might have somebody that's gay, identifies them. Let's just say that's the mixture of the characters, right?
Yeah.
Is immediately saying is all this show is gonna be woke, or I hope this is not another woke show. And I'm like, who is defining what woke is now? Because it's so a show is woke now. I'll say it like this is how I look at it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even think this is woke. I think it just comes to check, like we always say, me and you always say, checking off the boxes and pushing the agenda. That's what I look at it as, because this will have something. A great example is a show we talked about before, the Acolyte show.
Yeah.
People was trying to say folks was being sexist and they was hating the show because it was talking about being gay and having all that representation, when it wasn't that. It's just the show was poorly written, and some of the
Exactly.
acting was bad. So you can't use the woke term for something that's bad. It's a difference in writing a gay character but making it a good story, or a good character pertaining to just writing a character and just making them gay just because you want to have a representation so you can check the boxes off to a certain audience. Prime example, another show we talk about. Abbott has a gay character in the show,
Mm-hmm.
but it's written very well to the point where it's like it's not. It don't feel like they was trying to check a box off and say, "Oh yeah, here's our gay character, check. Here's our black characters, check. Okay, we got the white character in there, check."
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that. Everybody gels and mashes together good, and it's just the word is crazy because it's hard. This is hard to talk about because you can say something and it be the wrong thing, and then you can say something be the right thing. And like you
Yeah.
said, it can ruffle some feathers. But going back to the main point that I was trying to make, it's definitely affected entertainment as far as to even music. It's a term that's affecting media in a way that's taken away from what made everything good, and that's the storytelling aspect, telling a story. Because it's even to the point where it's like with the new Spider-Man show, the guy that's playing Spider-Man was like, "I hope this is not a woke show," and it's like, bro, what do you mean? This is a woke show. And like we was just talking about, you say if that's the case, you know how many things would have been considered woke when we was kids? One person who would be the woke king would have been Spike Lee if he
Yeah.
made movies now. He would have been the woke king if he was to make movies. The ones he made back then, if he made those movies now, they'll be slapping that term on him every time.
Yeah, look, here's how. Listen here. Let's. Here's the thing. Let's put all those things out there. Um, I agree with your point. I think the term woke has just came to be a term that is, oh, if we see a certain character that happens to be, let's say, black or minority or gay or something like that, and just without watching the content, that's the important part. Without even
Mm-hmm.
watching it, or they'll go on YouTube. And I'm gonna get it on a rant. They'll go on YouTube and see a guy on a video and be like, yeah, this is woke. All these little check marks or whatever like that. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, that guy definitely watched it. Most times those guys don't even watch the videos.
Nope.
So you're sitting there going off a person that just looked at a screenshot of an image of a character that just happens to be like Harry Osborn from the new Spider-Man show. People were having a problem with that and saying it was
Yep.
woke just because he was in the show and stuff like that. I'm just like, so woke is just things that you don't want to see in media, which happen to be characters that are outside of the majority of white characters. That's pretty much it is. And it's just if you want, and here's the thing, and I think the term woke is cringy now. Like it used to be a great term when before early
Exactly.
2000 or 2000 and what 2024 is when it started being a oh no
Mm-hmm.
2023 or something like that. It's
I
been a,
would say right in the 2020s is when it
yeah,
started getting
when it
like that.
started, when the term changed, because it had
Mm-hmm.
been, like you said, being aware of social issues and political stuff, and that was a good term, just being aware of those things. And now it's like being aware of things that don't necessarily might not even exist. Just because
Mm-hmm.
there's a gay character in a show doesn't mean that it's a bad show. Because, like you said, Abbott, they have plenty of diverse characters on that show when it comes to personality and what they do and how they act and this, that, the other. And because the writing is great, the show is amazing. Like I love every character of the show, and I don't have to be like I can see a character that doesn't represent who I am, and I have a problem about it because he's a good written character. There's a human element to him, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
important thing. And I think
Yeah.
people are using that word just to like how to explain it. They're using that word to just go, oh, I don't want to see this thing, and this is the reason why, and it's important, and it's really not important. Just give, and I always say this: just give the media a chance. Just go
Yeah.
in, watch it. If you don't like it after watching it, and
Then yeah.
it's because of the writing, because that's what
Mm-hmm.
because most times it's people don't like a show because of the writing, but they can't.
I could give a
Yeah,
damn about what color they are, what's their preference. I don't care about none of that. Because if I'm
yeah,
watching something and it's not good, I'm completely taken out of it immediately.
exactly.
Especially if it's written poorly. I don't care about the characters. Make me care about the characters. Don't sell me something to try to make an Oscar bid or to try to become a controversial.
Like
I
that
don't need that.
just that musical that just came out with that
Oh
Oscar
yeah,
musical and stuff like
the
that.
Oscar
Like,
bait.
yeah, like I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not going to talk too much on it.
Yeah, me
But
either. I've
so
just seen clips and watched
I've
reviews.
seen clips and watched
Yeah,
reviews, and I've heard it's not great. And it's
yeah.
not because of the character being trans; it's because the writing is just bad,
Hmm.
and that's fine. You can dislike something for the writing, but disliking it because they have a black person or a gay person or a trans person in it is lame.
Yeah.
It's you're not really a fan of the media, especially Spider-Man. Spider-Man is probably one of the wokest characters
But
there is. Air quote wokest characters there is.
and it's so crazy because if you think about it, Spider-Man is from Queens, New York.
Mm.
What type of people live in Queens, New York, Dimitri?
Definitely a diverse community, okay?
Bro, we
You know,
talk about Latino, Black. It's very
it's a
diverse.
it's a very diverse community, yeah.
So
And New
the
York in
fact
general is diverse.
exactly. So the fact that you say show is might be too woke because it has Asian and Black characters and all that. I'm like, bro, Spider Man is from Queens. He's from Queens,
Exactly.
and
And
and it,
also, go ahead.
no, I was just
Uh,
gonna say, just
yeah,
especially now, it's probably even more diverse now than it was when we were kids, because it was.
100%.
It's always been diverse since
Yeah,
its existence, but it's like now it's even more diverse, so it's reflecting what happens in this real time. And I'll give you an example real quick before you
hmm
say make your comment.
okay.
It's like me taking a movie like The Godfather, right?
hmm
The Godfather specifically was made to tell a story about a certain group of people in a certain time in a certain era of American history.
Yeah,
Talking about immigrants coming over, making a living in the country during the 20s and 30s, getting into the crime families and the mafia and all that. So it told a story about a specific group. So if I was to go and make The Godfather now, but in the same period, and say, oh, let me drop a few black people in the neighborhood, or some Mexican people, or like, let me just drop them in here and there. It's not authentic. It doesn't fit because that's not who lived. The demographic was not that group of people in that area of where
yeah,
they're telling the story. So when you do things like that's like you said, you can't even that's not being woke anyway. Like the way they've turned the term into what's being woke. Like we said, being woke is what I just described. Being aware. I that's why I say that's where the word comes from, being woke, because when you're aware,
yeah,
you're awake. You know what a situation is, you know what's going on. So I'm aware that when Spike Lee made the movie like Crooklyn, I'm very aware of these issues he's talking about. Growing up in Brooklyn in a predominantly black neighborhood, a black family, like middle class. It's the racial appropriation that's put into that film that it doesn't check. It's not to check the boxes, but to make you be aware of what goes on in that community and how people fight through it and the things that go on in the background. Just do the right thing. That's
yep.
another one. The guy had the shop and was he like, was he Italian? I forgot what they were, but they were white guys in the neighborhood. And the problem that happened was because they was in a black neighborhood, it suffered in the end as to where they shop got burned down. But it was because of the all the social injustice that went on in the
Yeah,
movie and stuff. That's what it comes to when things are woke, you know? That's woke. Being
yeah.
aware of what's going on. I know I went on a
Exactly.
little
No,
rant
no,
there,
you're
but
good. Hey, that was
yeah.
good. Hey, that was some good. That was some good sauce there. Like, I agree with you because, and I have my points. But the first point about the Spider-Man, just tie that one up, is Spider-Man's whole thing is anybody can wear the mask. That sounds very woke to me. In their
Mm-hmm.
definition of woke, to me is like, and also being, let's say, their terminology of woke. Let's say these people who are against woke term and people of color and other communities, just like that. They say it's woke as if it's a bad thing, like having a diverse cast is a bad thing. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
bad thing to have a diverse cast. It's not a bad thing to have, like in Spider Man, have some black people and Asian people and other communities in there because that's how the world is. So being woke is not a bad thing. Original term and the way they try to spin it, they just try to make it a negative term. They turn a positive term into
Into
a
something
negative
negative.
term. They
Mm-hmm.
they took it, rebranded it, and packaged it back out into the communities and stuff like that. But there's a and I liked your point about the difference between checking a box or checking off a list of, oh, we have to have these certain people. I like that idea of that still not necessarily being woke, because woke is being able to understand those communities and write them really good and to make them human, to make people who aren't from those communities understand it. And media has always been woke. It's when you look back at Static Shock or a lot of the movies in the '90s and stuff like that, when they were having these bursts of more people being represented in different shows. Justice League Unlimited Justice League and Justice League Unlimited are woke shows. Air quote by their terms, are woke shows.
I even
Go
do
ahead.
you one better and go
Go
back
ahead.
further.
Go back further.
All the black exploitation movies,
Yeah.
that whole era, and even I, a film that I was gonna mention that I just thought about is The Imitation of Life. That
Yeah.
would have been considered
Yeah.
woke because it addressed
Mm-hmm.
the issue that's very real about passing when
Yeah.
you mix race and you can almost pass for white because you the lighter skin, and a lot of people used to do that in that time. So that was a movie that came out in the 50s that
Mm-hmm.
addressed the real issue that was going on as that film was being made. That was something that was still going on in America. It shows that awareness of, hey, this is an issue that that black people deal with, and it's crazy because it was made in that era of like where white people were still like controlling cinema. It was predominantly white as far as like directors and writers. So it was interesting that movie came out, something like that came out, because as we said,
It's
it's a woke thing, and that's probably before the term was even what it is.
like
Like we said, it was actually what it was about. Like people probably was talking about that film as, man, that film gonna wake some people up, and
yeah,
that's where it comes
that's
from.
where it comes from. So yeah, and I'll even do you one even like closer to home, like closer to us. I went back and rewatched Captain America: Winter Soldier, and that is a that's that
Man,
movie
what?
with the theory, the topic that they're talking about in that movie is would be considered woke if it was made today. And
Especially the
even
stuff with Isaiah Bradley when he was
exactly,
talking.
yeah, I did that part for sure, and like I said, Winter Soldier for sure, because that was some crazy. That was what they were talking about is some stuff that honestly is in our current news cycle. It's really hitting close to home, but also the new Captain America movie. People are
Yeah,
thinking that's woke, but here's the thing: in the comics, Cap himself said that they are both Captain America. Like he agreed that they're
yep,
both. Like, there's no hyphen. They're both Captain America. Go ahead.
yeah. And I'm so tired of this whole thing about like color. Oh, it's the black Spider Man, the black Batman, the black Captain America,
Right.
the black Wonder Woman, the black Goku, the black this, the Asian Hulk. Like, why is it just not the Hulk or the Hulk? Donis Choi, I might have messed his
Choi.
name up,
Choi.
but Choi,
Choi.
I think it's
Cho.
Choi.
Cho.
But Spider Man
Sorry.
in this list, but it's they have to say, oh, the Black Spider Man, but no, it's just Spider Man, bro. Even
It's
Harrison
just
Ford
yeah.
said it in that interview that I sent you. He was talking
I
about.
remember that.
It's like,
Yeah.
so what do you feel about Anthony Mackie being the Black? He's, what do you mean? As far as I know,
That's
he's
just
Captain
Cap.
America. He's just Captain America. And
That's
I'm
just
like
Captain America, right?
literally,
Like I think it comes back to your first point or your point before about checklists. I think that's
mhm,
why they have to have like Black Spider Man and Black Captain America. It can't just be Captain America because they have to. It's a way of marketing, I think, too. It's like they have to sell that, which is a weird way to do it, and this is a weird way to market stuff. You have a visual form of media, just show us the image. It's now Sam Wilson is Captain America. Boom, done.
mhm.
It's like we know. I always say it's like we know what the person looks like or who's playing the character. We don't have to have it emphasized for us. But in let's go back even further back in if we're talking about woke stuff, just to tat a little bit. Blade, Luke Cage,
Black Panther.
Misty Stone, Black Panther, big static icon, Hardwire. No, it's
Yeah,
Hardwire.
hardware. It's
Hardware.
the
I
fact
thought I good.
I'm glad you brought up Icon though. Icon would be considered a very woke character because
100%.
not only is he a sentient being from another planet that came here, he
Yeah.
took the form of a black enslaved person and
Hmm.
as an infant. So that means he would grow up as a
In
slave
that
and
period.
endure.
Yeah.
Like he could have chosen to take anything, any form he wanted, but that's what he related to and connected to because that's who welcomed him in with warmth. and he grew up through that, through generations, that kind of mistreatment. And on top of that, he was a Republican.
Yeah, and then his
After
sidekick is
after
a Democrat. Or
and that
Democrat?
gave and that gave that kind of dynamic with them and how they butted heads. But
Also, oh sorry, just to add Rocket thing
no,
or about
go
Rocket
ahead.
before I forget because I'm ADHD, I'm gonna forget. But Rocket, she is one of the few sidekicks that comes at her hero and
Mm-hmm.
criticizes them. You don't see that a lot in media. You don't see
Mm-hmm.
Robin Nightwing does, but you don't see Robin's questioning Batman too much or getting
Yeah,
on Batman all the time. But like Rocket was like, no, you can't be that way. You got to change that, or we have to talk about that. Which is, and for one, also just her being a black woman, being able to really hold her own and also talk that way towards her hero was a big thing at that point in time for sure.
yeah.
Because
And as a man, because that's
yeah,
another thing. Women are not supposed to be outspoken,
yeah, exactly,
to a man.
exactly.
They somebody who's strong within like power and standards. So that's another thing. That's going back to being aware of a real situation and addressing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just saying, "Oh, we want her to be strong and talk to him like this because she's a woman and she's a superhero." It's not. She's addressing the issue that she has a
Mm-hmm.
problem with, and she's voicing her opinion and showing her freedom of speech, and that's how the character was written. Now, I want to ask you something
Okay.
because we was talking about it, and you brought up like Luke Cage and Blade and stuff. So, do you remember when Black Panther came out? And everybody was, I think that was probably like one of the first times I heard like the whole woke thing.
Oh
And
yeah,
they
in
was like,
2018.
yeah, and they was like, oh, it's gonna be another woke movie and they're gonna just do this. Now I'm gonna say this about Black Panther. I love Black Panther the movie, but I wouldn't say it's woke, but I would say it falls under that what they've made it to now, because they tried to check a lot of boxes to the point where it hurt the main villain, the main character, the
Yeah.
whole world. Like it felt like a thing that like it was supposed to be like our time to arrive in superhero movies, and I personally didn't feel like it did because it missed a lot of things that could have made it 100 times better. You
Yeah.
know, because even to the point where he eventually opened up to the world after one movie, I was like, bro, I really don't even think it should have been like that. I think they could have
No,
waited a couple more movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I think we know why they opened it up because if you watch is it Infinity War? The battle took place at Wakanda, so they opened it up with a story plot. You know, that
yeah,
wasn't
it
like it
definitely
wasn't like
was.
his kind of. It wasn't like, oh, the child opened it up because like he wants to. No, he's doing it because
Uh,
we got a battle in Wakanda, so we gotta open this
yeah.
up to people. We can't have Thor showing up and everybody's like, how'd you get in here? Oh, wait. Your question was like, how do I feel? How did I feel about Black Panther? Or,
Do you feel like it was affected? Do you feel like it was affected by like the whole woke thing, and did it hurt the film? Like, how do you feel about it overall? Because the reason why I pulled that one out because it was such a big film and it
mm-hmm.
broke all the records as far as box office. It was just talked about so much.
Because I went to the movie. I went to see Black Panther. I went to see a movie, I think 2 or 3 times. I went
Like,
out.
and
I saw.
I love the fact though that everybody was coming out and dressing up.
I was about to
I
say
was
that.
I
Like,
was proud
yeah,
of that. I was so proud of that.
it was a packed theater every single time I went. Packed theater. And I don't think I never heard anybody say it was like woke during that time period. Everybody started saying it towards the second one. They changed, came
Mm-hmm.
at it toward. That's when it started becoming like, oh, it's a woke movie. That was like at the time period where woke just started being used on the internet and more often to describe just a movie that just happened to have people of color in it and this, that, the other. But during 2018, I didn't feel like anybody was really hating on it that much based on how the audiences were in the theaters and who was showing up and who was coming to theaters. It was packed out all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think it was affected by it in the sense of people going out to see it. I think the second one maybe, but the first one, no. First one,
Yeah.
people were showing out.
Second
Second
one,
one,
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, second one, I think that's when people started calling it woke and people started saying they weren't going to go see it. And then people were watching those videos online from the people. I won't mention them, but they knew who they are. That were talking about, oh, hey, don't go see this movie. It's woke because it's got Shuri as Black Panther, which, however you feel about that decision, is up to you. But it's not, it's not woke because of that. Like, listen, for this podcast, I did a lot of research. Okay, I went in the trenches. Okay, so I know these actual people exist. I'm not even straw manning. This is like these
This
people
is
exist out
facts.
there, and you can't get out. Like I said, you can't go on social media without seeing the term woke in some facet somewhere.
Yeah,
So
even if it's in video games now, it's
yeah,
everywhere.
like people don't want to go buy a video game because it might
Uh,
have nobody people didn't want to go buy Dragon Age because there happened to be a gay subplot that you didn't even have to interact with in the game.
yeah.
So people were like,
I
"Oh no, I
remember
don't want to go watch that."
remember
What?
people was shitting on Outlaws because of the
Mm-hmm.
female. It was a female lead character. I was like, bro, what
And
is going on?
and the
Like,
worst part about it was they were like, "Oh, hey, she's not a attractive character." I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care. Is the game good or not? Like
it's so crazy. It's like you said, it's only so much you can really say about this subject and like what you can touch on because it's really what we've said is really the gist of it. That's how you literally break it down.
yeah.
It's a term that was a positive and it's been switched over to a negative, like derogatory, like
Yeah, it's been
term.
weaponized against the people who
Yeah,
created it. It's been
and
weaponized
it's
against
and
the
it's got
community
a
that
lot to
created it.
do. It's got a lot to do with the politics coming into films and shows
Yeah.
and video games. And like I said when we started this out, pushing the agendas in there, trying to add sprinkle this here and sprinkle this there just because. And it's you'll be playing a game and you're doing a mission and it's like you ride by just two people like two men kissing because they wanted to make sure, hey, here they are, or a couple of they do stuff like that, and it's bro, you don't have to do all that. You really don't.
Yeah, you just have to you can let's say for instance, you can have those characters in the show, but just don't have them in the show just to check a box. Like I'm not like I say, I'm not saying that's what people who use the term woke are using. They're not saying, oh, it's because it feels like a checklist. They're saying it's in general, it's a bad thing.
Mhm.
Like I like when it comes to shows, and I use shows for instance because I watch more shows than I play video games. And when it comes to video games, for the most part, I don't really care. Like as long as
Yeah,
the
I
game
don't
is
care
game.
if I
Like
enjoy
if
the game. I don't care
yeah,
who in it.
I don't care who in it or who's represented in the thing. I don't care. I think I played a game called Hades, and Hades, the main character was I think he was like I think he's bi, and I didn't care because the game was fun. I didn't care. I didn't care. There's plots in there. I was like, okay, it give you a perk. Okay, cool. Keep it
Yeah,
going.
look,
I didn't
I'm gonna
care.
get my perk and keep moving.
What? I don't care. Because if the game good is all I care about. If the show good, that's all I care about. I don't care who is in these things represented or anything like that. I'm not. If the plot is bad or if the story is bad, that's what I talk about. I don't care who's represented in this thing and whatever. And I know this is a long rant because we're ranting for a good minute, but the point of the matter is here at the Square Round Table podcast, we don't care about that stuff. We just want a good show. Like if I see a character or a person, yeah, character or something in a show that the other group being represented, I'm happy about it. I'm like, okay, cool. You got something. You got a show. I don't gotta. It don't always gotta appeal to me. As long as somebody's winning, I'm winning. As long as the show is good, I'm winning.
You don't have to make a black show just because it's for me to watch it. Like I don't, you don't have
Exactly.
to do that.
You know
Just
what?
make a good show. Just like that movie, The Society of Magical Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to watch that movie and I got through 30 minutes of the film and I was like, no, bro, this is not appropriate. Like y'all are trying to not be make a film that's not racist and it's racist as hell. Like it's racist as hell. but I won't even get into that. But I'm just like something like that. You really could have turned a stereotype thing that's been a part of film and TV. You could
Mm-hmm.
have really took that and turned it into something like really good and have some background to it.
Yeah.
The cat
Yeah.
saying what's up to y'all, by the way.
Yeah, he's talking in the background. I don't know if you can see him. He's coming around. Uh-oh, is he gonna, yeah, he's gonna go up there. Are you coming up here? You want come here? Just for a second. This is Roshi. Look at the
The
camera,
goats.
Roshi. Oh, the goat. Yeah,
See,
he's
Roshi,
hanging out.
Roshi know what's up. He probably
He
saw
know.
that movie too, and he was saying, "Yep."
He's
Oh,
like
even Roshi know about
Roshi
the
saying,
wokeness.
he's like, I don't like that movie. That movie was bad. I
But
had to
nah,
walk out of
man,
the theater.
man, for real. It is. It's like, why can't we get stuff like that and get like a version, like a Harry Potter type something, or keep it in that realm,
Yeah.
but show it the way it was something that actually that progressed like black people from because they said that it started in like slavery times when they was using it, and the
Hmm.
whole purpose of the movie is to keep they're there to keep white people calm so they won't get upset and destroy the world. I'm like, really, bro?
Oh gosh.
That's what y'all chose to go with. And then
Oh
the
gosh.
character they choose, when they choose him, it becomes like this whole like love story and rom com, and then it totally gets away from what the plot of the movie is. So it's like that's like a perfect example. That one, because I was watching like you did, I did a little research and I was watching some stuff. That one, Madam Web, we already talked about Acolyte. So stuff those movies like that, they definitely fall into that to the negative definition of the term that was positive, which
Definitely.
which is woke. And after that, I think that's all I got right there. I'm
Yeah.
gonna end on that note.
You
I'm
go,
gonna end
you
on that
tap
note right
it
there.
on that one. Okay.
I'm gonna end on that note.
I'll do my. I guess I'm doing my final remarks. To go on to your point, yeah, like when it comes to if we're gonna do this thing called if we're gonna rebrand woke to be representation, right? Essentially, then there is good representation and there's bad representation. You have you said the magical Negroes. I forget
The
the title.
Society of
Society
Magical
of
Negroes.
Magical
Yeah, I
Negroes. You
think
have that, which is a bad example of, let's say, representation or woke. Since representation equals woke representation, and then you have stuff like Up and Away, which is great representation. I love that movie. Bronze Eagle, the best character in the business. Okay, shout out
I
to you,
think
Bronze Eagle.
I think we need to just do like a whole podcast reviewing that, a deep dive,
Oh,
and just
100%.
talk
Yeah,
about it. Cause
because
it's so much good like history behind that and what it started. I honestly think if it wasn't for that film, like we wouldn't have got like the Sky High movie. You know, the
yeah,
one they did
definitely.
after that. I think that was like the precursor to like Sky High. I
Yeah,
really
and that
think
movie referenced Marvel and DC characters in it
they did.
like all the time.
They knew they was like they were talking about Mr. Fantastic and
Right,
all them
Mr.
folks.
Fantastic. I think they talked about Spider-Man and some other
Hmm.
Superman. And then like the funniest moment in that movie is when the grandfather tried to come save the day and he got there hecka late.
And then
That
like
was so
when he
funny.
flies and he sounds like an old like fighter jet that just
Right.
came out of the hang after
He
like
had to get
40
a running
years.
start.
Yes. Yes, yes. As you see, this is gonna be like we might have to just have a whole podcast about this because it's
We
so
might just
good.
have to, yeah, because it's such a good, it's such a good movie. And it's early 2000s, which was a era, of time where a lot of these shows that would be considered woke now, which is representing these different groups. What was that? Because 2000 around, didn't like shows like That's So Raven and stuff come around 2000, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken? That would have been considered woke because it had a black female lead
The
and
Proud Family.
Proud Family. Shoot, there's plenty of them. Even in animated, you got Rocket Power, which was like they were Hawaiians, yeah, if I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
or Samoans. I think
I
one of them
don't
was Samoan.
remember. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
they
they
were
was like a
Samoans.
mixture.
Correct us in the comments if we're wrong. No disrespect to either community. I assumed they were,
I think
but
it's Polynesian like
could be.
that.
Something like that. If we were wrong, we no offense at all, but just to prove the point is like woke's been around for a lot. Representation / woke has been around for a long time, and people just either were asleep at the wheel or just weren't asleep at the wheel or weren't paying attention or just too young. We're kids because even shows like Spider-Man, the '90s Spider-Man was pretty woke. And like I say, Static Shock all the time, but I'm trying to think of another show to end it off on. Shoot, let's go. I'll give you another one. Power Rangers was woke. Power Rangers has always been woke.
From beginning to the end, because it started to the end. Yes.
To the end.
You know what? That's a great way to end it off. That is a great way to end it. That is 100% facts. All the way.
All the way.
To the point that they even had a couple like black lead like rangers, and the fact that one of them in the SPD, one of them he was ego tripping off the leadership. He was gonna vote him out, dude. Hey, if y'all ever, like he said, if y'all ever want to go watch something like progressively showing it and like how it grew into that term, go watch Power Rangers. It don't matter what season you watch. You can start in the middle or the end. It don't matter.
You can start. You can go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. No, all I was gonna say is like you really like you. You know how they say the final remark? You just had the final remark and you put the nail in the damn coffin.
Because come on now, like that since its inception, that show has been progressively. It's been woke or representing and getting more like represented as it goes along. Like we had last season, we had 2 black characters in it, an Asian character, and someone that was gay in the show. Like there was I'm just saying, if we have a problem with representation or wokeness or whatever like that, were you not paying attention to Power Rangers? I'm just saying. Or even even Star Wars. I'm just saying. Star Trek. I can keep going. Oh, shoot. I even go even one better. The Twilight Zone.
X-Men.
X-Men.
The whole idea of X-Men was created from wokeness. The concept that it was created from wokeness because of an issue that was happening in America, the civil rights movement. Is why we got X-Men. It's literally the story is literally the same. They just made them mutants.
Exactly. They use them to talk about groups that aren't really represented in a positive light.
The oppress against the oppressor against the oppressor. Yep.
Yep. And last final remark that I'm going to say is media has always been woke. You just weren't paying attention.
And that's why some of y'all ain't woke, because you're still asleep.
Ooh. Mic drop. I would take my mic off here, but it's.
I know, right? You gotta unscrew it.
Do you have any more final remarks? Because I did drop some more truth bombs. You good?
That was it.
That was it. All right. Just making sure before we wrap things up, you got all your remarks out. But if you like the podcast, hit a follow, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell on the right side of the video, get notified of this video and future videos. Hit us up on our Instagram and our Discord. And soon we might be deciding a Reddit. I got to figure out the parameters and how that works. I'm new to Reddit. But soon maybe a Reddit. We might be a Reddit where you can ask us questions and have good conversations. So join us over there when that happens. But Discord is live. So join us on Discord. Talk to us. We're nice people. You can tell us all your wokeisms or whatever. You can tell us what you think is woke, what's not woke, whatever it is.
Let's have a discussion.
Or what was your first show where you saw a diverse cast, where it woke you up to different communities and how things go and educated you on those communities. Let us know in the comment section or on Discord about those questions. And if you have any questions for us down there, leave them down there. Yeah. And also Rap Nerd Tuesdays
Shout
and
out.
Thursdays. Shout out to Rap Nerd. Shout out to Always Press Record for the support. Thanks for everybody who's watched our previous video about the live action Disney's not living up to the animated stuff or losing the magic. If you want to check out that video, it'll be in the link. It'll be in the description below.
Description. Yep.
And check out all of our other content. We have a lot of great videos out there. Enough stuff to binge is what we have there. But I've been your host, Dmitri.
I'm your host, Marcus, and remember, y'all, please stop turning these positive terms into a negative because of the political agenda behind it. And
Yes.
this is
Let's Go Roundtable Podcast, and we are out. Peace. Deuces.